So, good evening. Welcome back to another show. And tonight I've got a special guest with me, and he's an expert on Italian football, like me a little bit. And I've got Andrew from the Calcio Daily. Andrew, how are you doing, mate?
Yeah, absolutely great. How are you, John?
Yeah, I'm absolutely canny, not very bad. I do apologise about the problems earlier on, sort of thing. And I just wish I was on mute, sort of thing. But there you go. So. Yeah, so if you do like the video, could you please like and subscribe, and also subscribe to Andrew as well on his Twitter account or his YouTube channel. Have you got a YouTube channel, Andy?
Not on YouTube. I do a daily podcast, which is taking a break for the summer, but it's calciodaily.com is the website for the podcast, and yeah, you can catch it wherever you get your podcast from.
Fantastic. Thanks very much indeed for that. Right, we're going to talk about the Euros. It's the big one on Sunday night between Italy and England at Wembley Stadium. Well, yeah, Wembley Stadium. And to be fair, I think both teams, the best teams, deserve to be in the final, in my opinion. I mean, England's playing fantastic. Not pragmatic, but Italy's playing beautiful stuff as well. And Andrew, Italy, are you impressed with them for the tournament?
Yeah, I'm really impressed. I'm not surprised, to be honest. A little bit tiny bit surprised maybe. They've been more impressive kind of earlier on than we used to. I think one kind of dichotomy between Italian football fans and English football fans is that fans England like go 4-0, 4-0, 4-0 every single game through to the final and the tournament. Italians traditionally understand that you have to build through the tournament, but it's actually been the Italians that have started burning hot from the first game and struggled to maintain that momentum. And it's England actually that kind of laid the foundations, took their time, built on the foundations from the first three games in the group stage, and now they're the ones that are looking more impressive. So I'm impressed with Italy's high level of performance, should we say, and their willingness to attack. My primary concern, I'd say, is whether they can sustain that for one more game against this like rock solid England defence.
I have to totally agree. I mean, Glenn Hoddle said today on Talk Sport that Italy peaked too early, sort of thing. And I kind of disagree with him, really, because I'm not surprised the way Italy's playing, because they're 33 games undefeated and they're playing some cracking stuff. Mancini plays a 4-3-3. He knows the players, the player knows him. And yeah, I mean, I believe it's going to come very, very close. I think the first score is going to be very important. And, you know, if it scores for the score, then they're take control of the game. So, who's impressed you for Italy in the Euros?
Well, it's very sad to even think about him or say his name, but Spinazzola, the left back, has been frankly amazing. Like you 2 or 3 years ago, a fairly average left back, but he just slots. He doesn't slot into the system. Like he pretty much is the system. Like I was at Wembley for the semi-final, and I was a bit surprised that Italy tried to play the same way. I was quite confident because I thought after the quarter-final, okay, Spinazzola's out. He's having surgery on his ruptured Achilles tendon. Mancini's got 4 days to work with the new left back and kind of get the rest of the team used to Spinazzola not being there. But he tried to play Emerson the way that Spinazzola plays, which I don't think you can. It's like getting someone to say, can you sit in the middle and play like Kevin De Bruyne? Like no one else can apart from him. Spinazzola has been the standout. I also like Locatelli very much. Disappointed with Fati in goal. Gigi Donnarumma has been extremely good. I was actually really, really impressed with the way that he responded to conceding that goal. You know, after was it 10 hours unbeaten? So, but I'd say if I were to choose 2 players as my first names on the sheet, that defensive 2 of Chiellini and Bonucci, they're doing the almost impossible task of making people love Juventus.
I'm a Juventus fan as well, and I love them, absolutely love them. I thought those 2 players you just mentioned there are absolute legends of the team.
They're amazing.
They can still play. They're not the quickest, but they can still defend. No. And Harry Kane's going to find out to his cost on Sunday, if I'm honest with you tonight. I mean, I hope I'm wrong, but at the end of the day, I mean, he's going to find out what it's really like to see those 2 lads defend. For me, I say Spinazzola he's been absolutely fantastic. I'm sure Joseph got fun working with him, I guess, at Roma. And you got Locatelli in place for Sassuolo, and he's been absolutely outstanding. He cost him £12 million from Milan. I still think Milan must be kicking themselves to selling him as well, by the way. And Brady as well. I think Brady's playing well. I do like Chiesa as well for Juventus. So he's got some important cracking goals as well. And I think Chiesa, if he starts, then he could be a key player for the Azzurri. So I think for me, England has got we just said a rock solid England defence, and I think Southgate is going to play field back in this game, sort of thing, if I'm honest with you, sort of thing. So have you been impressed with England, or do you think they're a bit pragmatic?
I have. In all honesty, I've been up and down. Looking at them in the group stages, the thing that really stuck out with me, especially against Scotland, I looked at them when they say if Pickford plays the ball short and it goes to a right back or left back, a lot of the midfielders, I thought they were hiding, and I thought that the pressure of that game kind of got to them, and you saw a few players in England shirts that were a bit nervous about receiving the ball. In the semi-final, completely different. Like the movement, and I mean that final few minutes where they were, the crowd were olaying, and England were just passing the ball around at will. Admittedly, you had 10 players on the Danish side that had been playing, all out for 115 minutes by then. But all of a sudden, every single England player wanted the ball, and that's very impressive. Like that's really rare. Their movement around the player who's got the ball was really, really good against Denmark, and better against Germany. But I think at Denmark they hit their peak. I have been impressed, and I said early on, the player that's really surprised me is Jordan Pickford. Like he's got a reputation as being a bit hot-headed, but I kept saying like he looks really calm. I think actually that's slipped a little bit. He's very, very, if you watch him, even when he doesn't make a mistake, he's very self-critical. He's always like shouting and hurling insults at himself. So I wish he would just calm down a little bit in that regard. But I think from back to front, they look really good. Every single player wants the ball. Everyone is looking to kind of make a move to either receive the ball in space or generate space for a teammate. And actually, that's the bit that worries me. I've got a feeling at least once or twice that Kane and Sterling are going to get away from Chiellini and Bonucci, and they're not. If you're in a race against, especially Raheem Sterling, it doesn't matter how old you are. Even if you're 21, you're going to struggle.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, for me, I think Sterling's be my player of the tournament in a minute. Like, he'd be up there, the best sort of thing. And Harry Kane's just come back to his best. And Kyle Walker doing well. The two centre backs has been absolutely
really good. Yeah, the amount of the ground he covers, and I think second half of extra time, like I don't think his pace drops off at all over 120 minutes. Like he recovers at the same speed in the second half of extra time as he did, in the first few minutes of the first half. He's really good. But you think for a long time he wasn't a first choice starter. Yeah, but Kyle Walker is as important at the back as Spinazzola has been for Italy going forward. Like he allows England to move forward with a lot more confidence, knowing that if the ball goes over the top, all of a sudden he's going to pivot round and take care of business.
Yeah, I totally agree there. Kyle Walker's been outstanding for me, sort of thing. And some of in parts, I thought he looked poor, but other parts look absolutely fantastic. I mean, for me, I think as a Serie A fan as well, excuse me, I think on Sunday when we play Italy, I think they're going to target one player, and that's Emerson Palmieri for Chelsea. They're going to target him big style, and I'm sure Gareth Southgate will notice that straight away. And I wonder if they're going to play it. Mancini might change it up. I don't think he will, but I think Sterling's going to have a good time against Emerson as well. And yeah, it's going to be very exciting. And like I said, the two holding midfielders we got is Declan Rice and Phillips, and they've both been outstanding for us, I say. I mean, Mason Mount's playing okay. I think he's playing really well. I think Saka, I think he's been outstanding.
He's been a revelation. Yeah,
he's been really good. And Harry Kane as
well. You're making me nervous, John. Say
again?
You're making me nervous.
I know, I'm sorry. England didn't qualify. got to the final, then I would have definitely cheered on Italy, no question about it, sort of thing. But I mean, it is what it is. I just want to touch on the strikers up front. Who do you think Mancini will play? Do you think he'll play Immobile, or do you think he'll play Belotti?
Well, I think it's quite telling that when you asked me who stood out for Italy, I didn't mention any forward players. I should have mentioned Chiesa, to be fair, because he's been outstanding. But that's like Italy just don't. They do have a striker, Immobile. He's an absolutely brilliant striker. Like a lot of the chances that he's had in and around the box, if he was in a light blue Lazio shirt, he would absolutely bury them. Absolutely bury them. I don't understand what the issue is with him in an Azzurri shirt. I jokingly say to my friends, he's probably going to score 8 goals in the final because he's got so many goals stored up in him that surely you can't have a central striker, your main man, your bomber, as they say in Italy, have 4 really bad games in a row. He has to come good at some point. I would be quite happy if they played Chiesa up front, central, Bernardeschi on the right, kind of with him. I'd be quite happy with that. I'd be quite happy to see that. I think Bernardeschi looked good when he came on against Spain, but Chiesa's been brilliant. Yeah, just like his dad, like an instinctive finisher.
Would you play Chiesa as a false 9 if Immobile didn't start?
It's too complicated for Mancini. That's too complex. I think Mancini likes it simple. He hasn't changed tactically in the whole tournament. Possibly the only manager who has kept that system kind of rigid. Well, I say rigid. He's not one of these managers that says like Arrigo Sacchi, here is my system and everyone must fit into it. I think he's looked at the players he had, like Ramsey did in 1966, and said, these are my best players. How can they best function together? And he also has the wider squad functions well within that system. So I don't think we'll see any false 9s or any of that jazz. I think he'll just play, a traditional front three for him with the wonderful Capitano Lorenzo Insigne from Napoli on the left, and please Lord that he can do one of his cuts inside and loop it into the top bins from 25 yards out. I don't 87th minute, that'll do me. If that's the only goal, I'd be happy with that.
If he scored like he did against Belgium, I'd tell you something. We'd have toast in Italy, let me tell you. Let's be real. Right, so he's 30 years. It
would make a change. It would make a change that someone from Napoli was the toast of Italy. But yeah, he's I think he's entering the final year of his contract at Napoli, and it's pretty bad business because the president of Napoli, De Laurentiis, has asked him to take a €1 million pay cut for his new contract. So I just don't know. Like, he loves playing for Napoli. He's got the tattoo of the back of his shirt on his calf, and he's got the new tattoo of Maradona in a Napoli shirt on his thigh. So like he's interwoven into the fabric of that club, and I think maybe De Laurentiis is just pushing his luck a little bit and thinking that, oh no, he's never going to leave. But yeah, it's an interesting time for him. He's on the cusp of greatness. He's come out of this tournament with a great deal of credit. Played really well. So yeah, I'd love to see him score the winner. That would be beautiful.
You're a Napoli fan.
Yeah. Yes, 100%. I put my flag up straight away. Yes.
I'll tell you what, though. I mean, whoever allowed him go down to 1 year left on his contract needs to be sorted out, because you cannot let a legend like Lorenzo Insigne 1 year left on his contract. He loves that club. I watched him play when he was at Napoli. I thought he did well, and also watched him when he played Inter Milan and with Junior Siege. I thought he did well there, but for me, they need to get him tied doing very, very quickly. And I can remember a couple of years ago when we got promoted to Newcastle United, according to the newspapers Chronicle, excuse me, when Newcastle was going to offer £45 million for Lorenzo Insigne 4 years ago. And I thought, you know what? That ain't going to happen. And now I got people come up to us and say, yeah, but anything can happen with Rafa Benitez. Anyone can do it. Rafa Benitez can. I'll tell you something, right? Lorenzo Insigne, Immobile, or any of the top quality Italian players would not, I repeat, not come to Newcastle United. It ain't going to happen because we've been linked for about 55 players, Italian-based players in Newcastle for the last 5 years, and only 2 of them's materialised. 2 of them's materialised, and that is Barreca, who used to play for Genoa, and moved to Monaco, and he came to us, hardly played a game. And Lazaro as well for Inter, where we got him on a half-a-year loan. That's the only 2 that materialised. Oh, and Emil Kraft as well, he used to play with Bologna, sort of thing, which is an average player, but less said about him, the better. But yeah, so I was going to say, so it is good. Who's going to say to me, who's your best player? Who's the man player of the series, or what do you call it? You're the best Italian player, sort of thing, like, you know, in this competition. Who would you choose? I could take number 5 or 6.
I would. I mean, even though he hasn't played for a game and a half, I'd still say Spinazzola. I've enjoyed Insigne. I've got to say, like you mentioned Sterling, and when you said he's your player of the tournament, where Sterling stands out for me is the impact of what he's done. You think of he's been directly responsible for 2 wins in the group stages, and Chiesa, if you look at what he's done, he scored Italy's goal against Spain. He scored in the previous game, of course. I can't remember if they played Austria. Was it? Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, he's had impact. Like he's scored important goals, and when he gets a chance, he generally takes them. So I'd say in terms of impact, I'd say probably Chiesa. In terms of who comes out of this with the highest value, it's Chiesa.
Yeah, I was going to say, for me, I've got to say, I agree, Spinazzola, I'd definitely pick him, then Chiesa. And I wouldn't mind saying Locatelli as well. I mean, Locatelli's been outstanding for the first couple of games. And the disappointing players for me is Verratti at the minute. It could offer a little bit more. Yeah. And the problem is sort of thing, the PSG form,
I think I'm in on my own now. Hopefully John will be back in a sec. Okay, I don't know if it's best to carry on talking or not, but hopefully John will return soon. He's got an enjoyable format. I like his style. And I also like the backdrop of the scenery. I have fond memories of St James's Park. I was one of those fans at one point that was a quarter of a mile away from the goal at the opposite end it would have been a League Cup game when Newcastle United under Bobby Robson were playing host to Leyton Orient, and that's my only appearance at St James's Park. There you go, John. I'm not sure if anyone's still going to be seeing or hearing me, but I just recounted a story of the only time I went to St James's Park.
Right.
You'll have to watch it back to find out.
That's fair enough, man. Is that better? Yeah, I'd go at me, I'm afraid.
That looks good.
Do it. So, do it this way, because the PC is just playing up a tour as well, sort of thing. It's a joke. But
you're very calm under pressure, John.
Say again?
You're very calm under pressure.
Well, thank you. But got to be patience is there. Got to be patient. If you're not patient, what's the point? And
yeah.
do want to do.
You were talking about Verratti and how Verratti is disappointed to do. I do agree with that. He's one of these players that looks really good, but he hasn't necessarily done a great deal. When you think that they set aside Locatelli to bring Verratti in, I wonder, even against Spain, if Locatelli had started and Verratti was on the bench, like Locatelli and Pessina have been like really kind of interchangeable in the midfield, and they've both scored a couple of goals, important goals. So I wouldn't be disappointed if Verratti was dropped for the final, but not sure whether Mancini will make that big call.
I don't think he will. I quite like Verratti anyway. I mean, Pessina, you just said that Pessina and Locatelli interchangeable. I thought Pessina, when he came on, he worked so hard. I like him. Plays Atalanta. Good player, him. And as for Locatelli, I think he's outstanding. I mean, he loves his long range shooting. He tackles. He can pass the ball. He can pass the ball. And yeah, I mean, I'm very impressed with this guy. And but there's plenty to choose around in a minute. But would I drop Verratti? I don't think it would be dropped. It would not be dropped. No. I'm afraid. But what's going to happen after the Euros? Is there anyone going to be leaving Italy? Do you think Chiellini and Bonucci going to call it a day to give it to the World Cup?
I think Chiellini, he is a genuine warrior. Like, I don't mean someone who worries, but he is a warrior. Like, when you think that at the start of the season that ended up last season, so I think September 2019. He did his cruciate ligament, and he was already 34 years old at that point, and he came back from that. Which is a sometimes it definitely was, not so much now, a career-ending injury. He did the work, got back, played the same season, came back towards the end of the season, and has been a mainstay for Juventus in the season just gone. Like, he is everything to Italy. Even his character. If you saw him with Jordi Alba just before the penalty shootout when they were tossing the coin, now that stuff's hilarious. And people are saying, well, he was insulting him or he was trying to get into his head. It's just being Chiellini. I think Bonucci. I'm not sure. Bonucci might call it a day. Yeah. Chiellini, I don't think so. Locatelli, I think he'll definitely move on. It would be a shame to see him go to Juventus, because it's starting to get a little bit like Germany, where any good German player goes to Bayern. Any decent Italian player in the last 5 seasons has gone to Juventus, and it would be a shame to see that happen. Well, I don't even know if Juventus can afford him unless they know for sure that Ronaldo is going to go.
Yeah. Talking to Ronaldo, I think he'd be on his way as well. So if I just can't see Ronaldo being a Juve next season.
Nah, 30 million euros a year.
Nah, what is he, 36 now? 36? He's been a fantastic servant for Juventus, and I just cannot see him being here at the minute. And they might go for someone a bit young, sort of thing, if you see what I mean. But Juve is after Locatelli anyway, and the main one. And you've got some top clubs. I mean, I want to talk about Jose Mourinho sort of thing. So I'm going to Roma on a 3-year contract. Now, that's going to be fun. I think he'd be okay. In my opinion, his stock is just so high because he's won the treble of Inter Milan way back in 2010, I think it is. Yeah. And his stock is still high. He's not been forgotten in Italian football sort of thing. So he could go to Roma and he could do bits there sort of thing. The question is, I'll get a lot of people come up with us and say that are Roma skint because they have to sell a big player every single season just to the sanctions, right?
Yeah, they definitely don't have money to burn. They're one of the Italian clubs that are owned by offshore overseas investors. I think quite a few people and companies came into Serie A thinking that there were untold riches, because at the time Roma were in the Champions League, and I think the assumption was made that Roma would always be in the Champions League, and that's simply not the case. Some clubs don't make it. If you look at Spurs, where thanks to Jose, they haven't made the Champions League either. Roma are definitely not awash with talent. The one issue that they've had is that they haven't had a player that they've sold for mega money for quite some time. And if you look at the kind of people that they look to bring in, I think the highest valued player was maybe Arkadiusz Milik when they were trying to buy him from Napoli like a year ago, and that didn't come about. So they got players like Dzeko. They might look at a player like French forward who plays at Chelsea, whose name I can't remember. He's got a tremendous beard. No, he plays for France. Yeah, but he used to play for Arsenal. But Olivier Giroud.
Yeah.
I think that if that's the limit of their ambition and the limit of their purse, then there's an issue there. I don't think they're skint, but they're always in a position where if someone offers decent-ish money for one of their players, even if it's a younger prospect, they will be quite happy to take the money. They would have been as disappointed as anyone in Italy when Zaniolo injured himself again and was ruled out of the Euros. I think they were hoping that this tournament would be like a big shop window for him, and they could probably hear the sound of cash registers in the background. But that's not going to work out. Jose's, Italy do love someone who has won in the past, and they are quite willing to forget any failures in the interim. Italian football has a history of going back to people. They've done it with national managers. Even if you look at Fiorentina, they with Prandelli, he went back years after leaving them for personal reasons, and then in the last season that's gone, he had to leave again for personal reasons. And he said the other day that he was too emotionally attached to the club to be able to manage it properly. Like Jose is not going to be that kind of manager. He's always Jose, straight down the middle. I'm not sure who the player is going to be that he's going to pick on because there seems to always be one. But I think it's going to be fun and it's going to be interesting. I don't know whether it's going to be that successful because the Italian league is much more competitive than it was when Jose was last in town.
100% right. And I said last night as well exactly the same thing. And has he got to start well? I think he might have to start well because they know he's a top quality manager and they expect him to do things. But we'll see what happens on that one. I've got a couple of comments here. I've got Rafa Benitez, not the real Rafa Benitez. You're only supposed to blow the blooming doors off. What I mean is that I just don't know. I've got Claire, Manchester United fan. Good evening, John. Hope we haven't agreed at one. I'm indeed. Just having problems with the internet connection as well, sort of thing, Claire. Just so frustrating. And I'm just sick of it, if I'm honest with you. Yes, honestly. And I've got Gav as well, I deliver tires to. What's going on, John? You all good? Absolutely fine, Gav. I saw him this week. I deliver to his garage as well. He's a top guy, Gareth. I do love him to pieces, and he is absolutely fun. And he's a big Swansea City fan. So,
for him.
I mean, touch on Serie A sort of thing. Quick talk about as well, sort of thing. I mean, obviously Max Allegri has gone back. He's done a 4-year contract, and the first thing he's got to do when he's there is sort out the midfield because the midfield looks an absolute mess, and he needs to create that.
Yeah, if you look at the last 12 months of Max Allegri's life, he's been. Yeah, he's obviously had a bit of media training. Like he was never that media friendly before, but he's been doing the media tour. He's been dropping hints that he's going to Real Madrid, dropping hints that he's going to go to Manchester United. Because he's been learning English. I think he was saying that he was thinking about learning German to go and take the job at Bayern. And I think for a little while he was rumored to be taking over at Napoli from Gattuso, but I think when the wheels started falling off the Pirlo train. I think, as I said, it goes back to what I said just now, John. Italian football like to go back in time to when things were better. It's kind of an attempt to erase the Sarri season and the Pirlo season to go straight back to Max Allegri. The Juventus midfield, I think I think Ronaldo being there to some degree has kind of made them a little bit lazy, because I think the instruction is, if you get the ball, give it to Ronaldo and then just follow him in and see what he does. But Locatelli would fit in well, but as I said, I'd rather see him just go somewhere else. It'd be nice to see a really good Italian player go somewhere other than Juventus.
Fair enough. I mean, everyone don't like Juventus, don't they? And I don't know why, but we just
you know why, John. You know why. You know.
I mean, everyone laughed at us last year, and they didn't make the top four, this and that, and top that sort of thing, you know. But listen, I'm glad I'm just in the Champions League.
It's like saying you don't understand why people didn't like Dick Turpin. It's the constant thievery, John. That's why people don't like Juventus.
You just gotta keep winning things. You gotta keep winning things. That's exactly what you're doing. But I can understand.
Yeah, well,
listen,
yeah.
I'd love to see Napoli win the league. I'd love to see Milan win the league. I'd love to see Roma win the league. I got no problems whatsoever, sort of thing. You know what I mean? It's nice to change. I mean, to be fair, I'm glad Inter won the league anyway. To be quite honest, because they've been the best team in the Conte, and it's just a shame that Conte is left in because he's always got to sell players, hasn't he? And Hakimi's gone to PSG, and this is typical Conte sort of thing.
Yeah, there's always something with Conte. Like every single club he goes to, there's something. Like he's always in conflict. He's always, and then resolves conflict. Then he's in conflict again, and then just when everything looks great, he's gone. He's a fascinating cat. But yeah, I mean, I'll speak a little bit about Napoli. That they are this club, and there were a couple of chances during the season for them. You would look at the fixtures and look at their points and say, if they win their next game, they elevate themselves. You know, either top two, they could have gone at one point, top three, or even on the last game of the season, as you remember, if they won, they were in the Champions League, and they get so close, they never ever cross that line, and that's one of those things that gets worse and worse. If you think at like when Fergie was at Manchester United, you know, if the opposition was 1-0 up with 5 minutes to go, they'd be really nervous, because you know United had this reputation of always scoring late goals and you know, even winning games from losing positions in injury time. Napoli now are starting to get that belief that they are a team that kind of chokes when they have a chance with just one more win to really kind of elevate themselves and push on. Juventus are quite the opposite. They, like, you know, you've got Chiellini and Bonucci. They're just focused. They know exactly what needs to be done, and they do nothing other than that. And the club maxim of fino alla fine, like you right to the end. It annoys me, but it is a well-deserved maxim, because that is their approach. Like you keep on going, and it's not done until the game is over.
Absolutely, totally agree. I mean, Napoli must be kicking themselves, and that's why Gattuso left the club. He didn't get in the top four. And he's a funny one to see Gattuso as well. Goes to Fiorentina, 23 years later. Wow. And then guess who
what happened?
They got Vincenzo. Come on to Gattuso first.
Yeah, Gattuso was really popular at Napoli, and still is, to be honest. Like he did nothing wrong. There was just that final game. There were, as I said, there were probably a couple of points where in the season where, you know, as I say, if they'd have won, they would have kind of been in a much better position, and they always seem to choke on that. I don't know if that's a Gattuso issue. Some of his team selections on occasion were just a bit mysterious, like something with the way that he played, especially his forward line. But yeah, I think it was harsh. I think it was harsh for him to go. But it's one of those situations where a month before the end of the season, lots of people were being touted as Gattuso's replacement at Napoli at the same time that he's trying to get him in the Champions League. And it kind of hamstrings you a little bit if you're saying, well, I'm sacking you because you didn't get us in the Champions League. By the way, with a month to go, there were lots of stories in the press about who's going to come in and replace you. Okay, it's a bit unfair. I've no idea what happened at Fiorentina. I had absolutely no idea at all. I mean, if you remember, he was instantly linked with the Tottenham job as soon as he moved on from Fiorentina. So that there is one school of thought that you know, his agent is good mates with the sporting director, who's now at Spurs, and yeah, that's one of the reasons why they were kind of asking Gattuso if he was interested, and that may have tempted him away. But to actually leave a job is quite something. I do have to say that I've got really good friends in Florence, and their kind of ire and anger towards the ownership and leadership at Fiorentina, like they think it's just a circus. The owner kind of makes these amazing revelations in the press about how things are against them, and you know, certain things that they think they deserve, and it just doesn't really bear any truth at all. So yeah, Fiorentina are they're a lovely club, a beautiful club, and lots of people of my generation have a great fondness with them, with the, you know, beautiful from the 90s and players like Batistuta, Ricosta. But yeah, they're a club. They were lucky to stay in Serie A last season, and they might not be so lucky this time around.
Not when you've got a manager called just John from Spence, you have Vincenzo Italiano. You know, I mean, he's done a fantastic job, Spencer, and
yeah, brilliant job.
Right, absolutely brilliant, exceeded all expectations. Right, he's done a job, and he was absolutely fantastic for him to go to Fiorentina. For me, it's a bold move by Fiorentina, which is someone they have got to get 100% right. They have to get that appointment right. I wish the guy well, I really will. But is this job too big for him? I know he's a young manager, and I tell you something, he plays one way, he plays a 4-3-3, and I just hope that the Fiorentina ownership give the lad time. He needs time. That's the first thing I was asking. Give us time to put things on, put a project in, and it'll come good. But if he doesn't, then I tell you something, right? I mean, like you just said there, they might not be so lucky. I can see him down doing this season. I really would, because I think teams like Salernitana, Venezia, Empoli might fancy their chance of staying up as well. So I'm going to come to in a minute. So you think Fiorentina's going to get relegated if they don't go up?
Yeah, I think they'll struggle. Italiano, the manager, you talked about his system. He reminds me a little bit of Chris Wilder, where you get a manager at a club, and their system works brilliantly with the group of players that they've amassed over 3, 4, 5 seasons. I don't think that works when you just transplant the manager and put him in another club. If Chris Wilder started at West Brom, for example, he wouldn't have the right players to play the system that he likes. So yeah, I think it's a gamble all round, because as you say, he needs to do well. Fiorentina are a big club, and they, you know, almost too big to go down. They would be a big loss for Serie A, and if it doesn't work out for him fairly quickly, like he'll be on gardening leave by Christmas, as they tend to do in Italy.
And then they probably get someone else in, sat there, and bring him back again. That's how it works.
Precisely. They'll bring in Claudio Ranieri to salvage their season.
Yeah, he's just left. Did he left Sampdoria? I think he's left.
He's gone. Yeah. He went. Yeah.
He went, and you know what? He's got a safe pair of hands, Claudio, and he's done a good job at Sampdoria. And I've been to Sampdoria, lovely stadium.
Oh, it's a joy. It's wonderful.
It's a joy. The Marassi, it's absolute passion. You go there, right? They're always saying win, lose, or draw. I can remember one game when they played Inter Milan, they got hammered by 5 goals to out. Icardi ripped them apart, and the fans were just non-stop saying, just kept on and on and on. Absolutely fantastic. No booze at the end of the game. Do you know what it is? The Sam fans said it is full. It is. That's football into a fantastic match. They couldn't even get near them. Couldn't have punch. But I hope Fiorentina put their ideas up, sort of thing. And if they don't put their ideas up, then they could be relegated. Got some more comments here, by the way. I've got Claire. Glad you were good, John. Great stream so far. Really enjoy any score predictions for Sunday, which I'm going to come on to later on. And I've got Gav as well. Your top bloke, son, and a good laugh, bud. Always a pleasure to see you, son. And you know what, Gav? Same to you as my guy. You know, And he's a great lad. I got Andy as well, Guna. Hi, John. Interesting show. Score predictions from me. 2-1 to England. It's coming home. And we're the lads. Do you know what? I'm glad he's a new Newcastle fan. And I got Thomas. Ian and John, hope you're okay. And Tom, I'm absolutely fine. I've got happy feet. Italy are better than England, in my opinion. We looked shaky last game. And for me, I mean, I want England to win, obviously, because I'm Brit. And also, I do love Italian football as well. For me, Serie A is the best league in the world. I know people's going to agree. The Premier League is just a big six club. It's just a big six league. That's all it is, the Premier League. Big six league. I don't think anyone say. So I want to talk about the three teams that got promoted. Empoli, Salernitana and Venezia. I mean, first of all, my opinion, I think it's great to see them back in Serie A. And what's your take on those three? How do you think they're going to do?
I think they're all three are going to struggle and struggle big time. It's lovely to see Venezia back. Lovely to see Empoli back in Serie A. Again, probably 15 years ago, like Empoli was not a big name, but they were kind of regularly like slaying some of the big dragons in Serie A, and yeah, they lost their way and went down and stayed down for a good many years. So I've got a massive soft spot for Salernitana. They're from the next city down from Naples, so in the kind of the deeper south, but they've got this interesting ownership issue with the owner of Lazio also being the owner of Salernitana, but they've been given their Serie A license, so they've been cleared to play. I think they've been put in trust, a legal kind of construct that the Lazio owner doesn't have any control over, so they've been allowed to play. They are, I don't know, they could be. I mentioned Chris Wilder. They could the Sheffield United of the three that go up. I just fancy them. They're a little more adventurous. They're a little bit more attacking. I think they might be the only ones of the three to say, right, we're going to give this a go. We might be relegated by November, but we're gonna give this a go. I would absolutely love to see Salernitana do well. It would be brilliant. And we got like the closest derby game for Napoli that there has been, which will be Napoli Salernitana. So yeah, it's going to be good fun. I think in all honesty they'll struggle, but as I say, Salernitana might be the one that makes the best fist of it.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to agree there. I did say I think Venezia will just about do it. I hope Venezia just about do it. And if they can do it, that'll be absolutely amazing for Venezia, because everyone loves Venice. I love Venice, and Venezia, a terrific place to visit. And and whoever goes in there and gets that club right, then believe you me, they'd be legends at that club, I'm telling you. And they're on about getting a new stadium, but we've been talking about it for years, because this American owner, I can't pronounce his name, but when they were in Serie A D, they brought in Pipo Inzaghi, right? Apparently, Inzaghi phoned him. He didn't contact him. He phoned him and said about taking on a job. So they spoke to him at length, and then they gave off him the job. He got them 2 divisions up there, got them to the playoffs, then he moved on to Bologna. And I just hope for them to get a new stadium. I really do, because they can get a new stadium somewhere. I think they can get the fans.
Yeah, they're in a good catchment area. There's no Serie A club, in the immediate vicinity, but in that part of kind of northeast Italy, it gets quite congested. There are too many Italian Serie A clubs in the north. We want more teams from the south, do. But Venezia are. I think you're right. There's a romantic side and lots of people that would like to see Venezia do well. But yeah, you're right. If they could get a new stadium, that opens up increased revenue. Although I'm not, it worked for Juventus. I'm not sure whether smaller clubs that aren't going to get like 60, 70,000 people, I don't know whether it works to the same extent for them. But we'll see. I think they would need to survive in Serie A. They would need to probably have a couple of seasons in Serie A to make it viable. And we'll see. I can't see it happening, but yeah, it would be nice. The thing that works in favor of those 3 clubs is that like last season Torino went. There were some maybe not big clubs anymore, but bigger name clubs, should we say, like Sampdoria, like Fiorentina, that were flirting with going down, and Udinese as well. Although they all managed to pull away just at the right time. If those kind of larger name clubs that are not so financially well off continue their slide, they could possibly continue their slide right into Serie B. If they turn out to be worse than the 3 clubs that have come out, then those clubs might be okay. But yeah, I think they'll struggle.
Yeah, I'll hope you're wrong, but I'd love to see Fiorentina stay up, sort of thing. But the teams that flirt, you just mentioned, Torino needs to be careful, especially to lose Bellotti. Fiorentina, we just spoken at them, right? And Udinese always find a way. Cagliari, I mean, I love Cagliari. I think they're a terrific football club, romantic club as well. I hope they don't go doing because, you know, they need Sardinian club in Gallery, so and that's where it is. So I got some more comments there. Got Bristol City fan, and Ruda, evening to you. Hope you're okay, mate. I got Seto as coming home at the Costa of the Italians, and I got Nuda. It's got a question for you anyway. Is there a financial difference between Serie A and Serie B? I think it's massive, you know.
That's huge. There are, generally speaking, the clubs in Serie B are owned by like individual benefactors. When you think that Berlusconi, bought Monza, brought Balotelli into the club, clubs in Serie B are increasingly bought by hedge funds, overseas corporations like Sunning with Inter Milan. Often aligned to large kind of businesses. You look at Juventus and the power of the Fiat GM group with the Agnelli family behind them. The Inter was always a kind of family business, but generally speaking, the clubs in Serie A are owned by wealthy corporate entities. Maybe Napoli is an exception because they have an individual owner, but yeah, almost I think without exception, the teams in Serie B are owned by usually wealthy local businessmen. That see that as a way of kind of making a name for themselves. But yeah, in terms of the income, like it's huge. There is no revenue sharing agreement between the clubs in Serie A and in Serie B. There's no concept of parachute payments as we have in the UK. Even the feat of being able to get out of Serie B is quite an achievement, which is why you don't often get clubs going up and staying up for like 2 or 3 years. That they usually do end up going back down.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, you look at clubs that move up to Serie B, it's teams like Alessandria sort of thing. Fantastic little club as well. They got promoted, and under Logno, he used to manage Frosinone and took over for Torino for a little while. They've been promoted. You got Perugia, Como, and Ternana as well. Those 4 promoted to Serie B sort of thing. And let's hope they make it this time. And they're terrific little clubs as well. And I got said also England pressing game too much for Italy. I doubt Southgate till the knockout stage. That's a
I think the opposite. I think the opposite. I think Italy's pressing game will be too much for England. I don't think England have a pressing game, do they?
I haven't seen it at all. Just stand off, don't they? We would have thought that because the players have got, with the energy they've got, they do like to press. But that's down to Southgate. He's such a pragmatic manager, and everyone has to realise that. Listen, Southgate is beginning to win me over slightly because he's making some brave moves, brave choices, and I think, okay, cool, I understand. But we are not a pressing team under Southgate. We're definitely pragmatic. It's just that's why he made one change in the Denmark game in the 90 minutes as a sub. I've got Anuruda as well. Like with the Premier League and Championships, with the TV revenues and parachute payments in the Championship. Just mentioned that, touched on that. Seto, English clubs were in Europa League finals or all the previously elected. Chelsea and Man City were in the European Champions League. It's all about money at the end of the day. I mean, people say the Premier League is the world's best league, right? To me, I don't think it is. I mean, Serie A is the most competitive league in the world, and exciting league in the world. All it is in the Premier League, Andrew, I don't know if you're going to agree with us. I think the Premier League is just a big six league.
Yeah, outside of that, it's almost a free for all. Well, I would think that how many clubs are aiming, like, if we get in the top 10, or if we get in the, if we finish out of the relegation spots, that's a massive achievement. There are several clubs like that. There are clubs like that in Serie A, but I think for the last 3 seasons, Serie A had the highest average number of goals per game. I think you can make an argument that the Premier League is more exciting, because although Italian football has moved on in recent years, there's still that kind of old notion of Italian football is ultra defensive. That's gone. Listen, I always say, if you think Italian football is defensive, look at the last 5 minutes of extra time of the 2006 semi-final against Germany and tell me if that is defensive football. When an Italian team goes 1-0 up with 2 minutes to go and get the ball with 15 seconds to go and attacks to score again, you can't say that is defensive football. There's a difference between being good at defending and being defensive, and Italian teams are good at defending.
Yes. Italian leagues are good at defending, but look at the midfield. Are they defensive? Have a look at players like Chiesa. Is Chiesa a defensive player? No. Is Insigne a defensive player? No. Is Immobile a defensive player? No. Simple as that. And now again, people come out to us and say that Italian league is boring sort of thing. No, it's not. Look how many goals last season, all right? Look how many goals Atalanta scored last season. The season before, you know what I mean? And then you tell me about Atalanta's defensive team.
Yeah, how many times are they involved in games with like 4 or 5 goals? It's usually them scoring 3 or 4, but they are involved in high scoring matches. Yeah, Napoli had a few high scoring matches as well, but generally speaking, they're competitive games, and as I say, with a higher goal average across the European leagues.
Absolutely, well said, well said. I've got said to us, well, only right that England win because the clubs did the job already in Europe. And I've got James, not the James Brown singer, Guru Lazio. I've got Ruda. The Championship is the most competitive league for him. The Champions League, Championship.
That's fair.
That's a good league. Good. That's where we're going to be if we don't get a takeover next season. Trust us when I say that. GM said England 2 Italy 1. And says, ask John if Newcastle will be in Europe next season or soon. Definitely not. Not under this owner. If you get a takeover, then we will do. Let's be real about it. We will do. We will do something about it.
The London media cabal let you get taken over by anyone that they don't like.
That's all it is. All it is, Sandra. I'll tell you what it is, for those who don't know, right? The big 6 clubs, i.e. Liverpool and Tottenham, are controlling Richard Masters in the Premier League. They are telling Masters what to do, who they can do, what they cannot do, right? And the government has to blame as well. Got to have to blame as well, because they don't want to get involved with this Premier League takeover. They were quick to stop the European Super League, but they're not quick to not getting that takeover, that sort of thing. You know what I mean? But one thing I will say, if we don't get takeover by the end of the month, our club will simply die, and we have an owner wash his hands off the club completely. But that's for another day. And Lee, favourite Serie A player of all time, got to be Maldini, Maradona, and Gaza for me.
Oh, this is a nasty little question. Okay,
for me,
my favourite player of all time, and I genuinely think he is the greatest footballer of all time, was Baggio.
I'm gonna agree. I mean, Baggio, Del Piero, and Maradona.
Yeah, Baggio is, for me, he if you watch a goal scored on in his career for Brescia against Juventus, there's a camera angle where Pirlo is playing midfield for Brescia. He knocks it long over the defence to Baggio, and I always like showing it to people, and I stop it before Baggio's first touch, and I say, look at where the players are. What do you think he does with his first touch? Nobody gets it right. It is unbelievable what he does with his first touch. Brescia versus Juventus with Van der Sar in goal. Yeah, he did things on a consistent basis with the ball that people should be put in prison for even trying to do with a football, and he did them non-stop. Yeah, I adore him. Absolutely adore him. He's the best player of all time, in my opinion. And then
For
Maradona.
me, yeah, I have to say, and one thing I would add on top of that as well, can clips it off, and for me, and that's Gabriel Batistuta. For me, I mean, I would say, if they're not asking us the best Stranieri, which is the foreign player, the Serie A, for me, will be Batistuta, for me, because the guy is an absolute killer in front of goal. And as for Baggio, I mean, for me, he's one of the very, very best for me. So I have to agree with 100% there. And I know you've forgotten as well, but oh God, there's some cracking players that plays the Italian league. Grosseto, Buffon, yes, he's gone to Parma.
Yes, great shout. Yeah,
2-year deal.
great shout. I love that. I love that stat about him winning the Coppa Italia with Federico Chiesa, and then 25 years before he won it at Parma with Chiesa's dad.
Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah,
now to wrap this up very, very quickly, sort of things. I know you got a good. I've just got your message, sort of thing. Just a couple of questions. I got Elsevier on all Italian side that I could watched in person when they played at St James's Park. Yeah, they played a couple of years ago. I think you won that as well. And Zetto, I don't think it would take a metro strike in the earth for Newcastle to be brought out. It will get brought out eventually. And Johnson, your biceps must be huge, holding that camera up that whole podcast.
The guns are out.
Listen, I mean, I need to lose half a stone because I still got underneath, but I'm not going to see Bill, but there you go. But listen, before I let you go, right? Just I'll let you go. Who do you think's going to win this Scudetto this season?
Oh, what a brilliant! Oh, what a brilliant! You know what? I haven't even considered. I haven't even thought about Serie A. I think it's going to be Juventus because of Allegri. He's going to find a way with what's there to get it to work.
100%. I say Juventus as well. The bottom three. 2 more questions. Bottom three.
Oh crikey! I think Fiorentina, Empoli, and Venezia.
So Salernitana's just last 8 up there. And one other question, what's the score going to be on Sunday? I have to ask you that question.
I think Italy are going to win 1-0.
I'll say 2 each, and then I've got to stay on the fence on that one. Extra time penalties, and I'm not going to say, I hope it comes home. One quick one for Lee. Who do you think is going to win the Copa America or going to Argentina? First international honour, Messi.
Yeah, I hope you're right. I'd like to see that happen. I think Brazil have been handed too many favors from world football over the decades.
Yeah.
I'd like to see Messi win something. That would be good, and then he can decide who's going to play for next season. Maybe go to Napoli.
That'd be nice. Messi and Napoli. I'll tell you what, and then people say it's going to be the world's best league. I was totally agree. I hope Messi does play straight in Italy. There you go. Listen, Andrew, one final question I had. It's going to be a final question. Did you enjoy coming on the show?
Absolutely brilliant. I've really enjoyed it. I consider it a genuine honour. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I love the format, and as I say, you were super calm under pressure early on.
Andrew, thank you very much indeed, and thanks for your endorsement there, mate. Yeah, it's best to be calm at the end of the day. It's no good getting flustered and no good getting stressed. I mean, end of the day, if you don't get stressed and something ain't right, just be calm, sort it out, and then happy days sort of thing. But you're right. But there you go. Andrew, thanks for coming on, my guy. It's been fantastic.
My pleasure. Thank you.
We've got to do it again, and
I'd love to do that.
Season. And thanks for coming on, and enjoy your night.
Brilliant.